Hi, I'm Jane Velez-Mitchell with Jane Unchained. We have an extraordinary interview today. One of the emerging heroes of the animal rights movement, Anita Krajnc, who is in Canada, flanked by her two attorneys. Anita is on trial for giving water to a pig. Anita, first of all, I want to say that I am astounded and pleasantly surprised at the enormous media coverage your trial is getting. Front page of the online version of the New York Times linked to a Washington Post story that shows not only video of the incident, but all of your YouTube videos. What's your reaction to the fact that you've become a cause célèbre because you gave water to a pig that was on the way to slaughter, Anita?
I think that this case, which we call the pig trial, has resonated with people because everybody knows that it's the right thing to do to give water to a thirsty animal. It's the golden rule. It's what I was taught as a child, and it's something that people knew for thousands of years. And what I did was right, and compassion is not a crime.
And I want to say that if you gave water to a dog like this little rescue, Rico here, who was trapped in a hot car, for example, you'd be hailed by the legal system as a hero. But because we're talking about pigs, the laws are very different. So I want to go to one of the attorneys, Gary, and thank you for representing Anita, by the way, Gary Grill and James Silver. How are you dealing with the fact that there is very little protection for farm animals?
James? So it's absolutely accurate that there is this dichotomy in the law between what we call companion animals and what other animals which are viewed as being part of the food chain. And there's a real problem with that because it means that it's possible to abuse one type of animal and not stand for abuse of a different type, which is absolutely ludicrous. There has to be changes to our laws, and it's a change which has been very long in coming. As far as what you're asking, you're absolutely right. Saving a dog from a hot car, giving relief to a suffering dog is something which is encouraged, whereas in this case, trying to relieve the suffering of a hot pig is not only discouraged, but is actually being branded as being criminal. It's a ludicrous proposition. That's one of the issues, I believe, which has led to this vast media outcry where people are coming forward and starting this discourse, this dialogue about why is it that we love one and eat the other? Why is it that, in this day and age, with the prevalence of technology and how forward-thinking everyone seems to be, why is it that a dog is a he or a she, but a pig or a cow is an it? This de-individualization, where we remove the individualization from this creature and turn it into a commodity.
Now, let me just state some basic facts as I garnered, according to the Washington Post, that the pigs were approximately 190 pigs on a 68-mile drive, and that according to Washington Post, there was no water given to the pigs on that drive. And so, Anita, you saw the pigs. Did you see them sticking their snouts through the little holes? And describe what happened that has caused such an uproar and controversy globally.
It was a hot June day last year, and we do weekly vigils where we bear witness of pigs and other animals in front of slaughterhouses. And in the summer, we give thirsty and hot pigs water. And so the trucks pulled up by the traffic island, and a friend of mine, Nikki, and I went up to the truck, and we saw pigs panting and foaming at the mouth. And I said, let's give them water. And what was unusual is the truck driver jumped out and said, don't give them water. And I said, I said, chapter 25 of Matthew says, when I was thirsty, you gave me water. And he goes, they're not human, you dumb freaking broad. And then I said, I continued to give water. And he said he was going to call the cops. And when I put the water in, the pigs came to me to get the water, and even were trying to wiggle their way towards me because they were somewhat crowded. And then he said he's going to call the cops, and I said, call Jesus. And so I continued to give water, and then he threatened to slap the water bottle out of my hands, and I said, that's assault, and I said, keep filming. And then he went into his cabin and drove off, and that was the end of it. And I didn't hear anything more about this case until about 6 weeks later, when a Toronto police officer came to my apartment and served me the summons. And I was so shocked at the date, because I remembered we videotaped that event and posted on Facebook. And so it became a viral issue on social media. And then with my pretrial, it became a national media story, and now it's an international media story. And, you know, for us, when we do this, it's about the individual pigs before us, but it's much bigger than that. And I really love the way my two vegan lawyers are fighting this case. They're fighting it to reflect what this is really about. It's about the individual animals before us, but it's also about the billions of animals that we're fighting for. It's about animal rights and sentience and individuality. It's about the environment. It's about health. And my lawyers have chosen a number of expert witnesses to argue about all those pillars, because all these arguments are in our favor. And I'm really proud of my lawyers for fighting it, not as, you know, in a narrow way, but in a very broad way, which really reflects, you know, why we do what we do. And, you know, the ultimate reason of why we do what we do is ethics and conscience, but there are all these other factors as well. And I like the way they're fighting the case.
Well, I want to say that if you want to get involved, you can hashtag Stand with Anita, hashtag pig trial, and it is viral on social media. And I'd like to say that our organization is going to give you an award this December for your incredible work, Anita, and the attorneys are obviously included in that because you are bringing this entire issue through your martyrdom, really, to the forefront of the public consciousness. You know, the people just don't want to think about pigs on the ride to slaughter. And of course, it also opens up the whole question of, well, humane meat. There is no such thing, but it's a marketing tool. But if you look at pigs on the way to slaughter, even if they were raised knee deep in grass, which is not happening, the ride is horrifying, according to what you've described and, you know, what I've seen. Of course, I want to ask you, and I'll ask the other attorney, what specifically is Anita charged with, and you know, how much time could she do, and what's the technical defense?
So Anita is charged with mischief to property. Mischief to property, a common law, and in the Canadian Criminal Code is a very large section. The particular section that she's charged under means that she's interfered with the lawful use or enjoyment of property. Probably the pigs being the property, although we're not 100% sure what the prosecutor's theory of this case is. It doesn't seem, based on the evidence that's been called at the trial so far, that Anita could be convicted. Having said that, as Anita's mentioned, one of her defenses is that she was acting in the public good. And therefore, even if it was technically a criminal offense, she has a lawful justification to do what she did, both for the sake of the individual animal in that hard car, and also, and more widely and globally, for the sake of the millions of animals who were slaughtered on a daily basis in the exact same way that this poor pig was being led to slaughter. And also to raise awareness about the enormous global climate impact that the meat industry has on this planet, and also to raise awareness about how we are killing ourselves, literally killing ourselves, every time we put a piece of these animals into our mouth. Her actions in giving water to that one pig had as her intention all those things. And that allows us, therefore, to call experts in veterinary care, which we've already done, who's testified those pigs were in distress. We plan to call environmental experts. We plan to call an expert in the cognitive abilities of a pig. These are feeling, sentient, thinking animals. And we also plan to call an expert in terms of human health concerns. These are carcinogenics. These are leading to all kinds of health diseases all over the world. We're literally killing our planet and killing ourselves in the process. And all of these things are relevant to Anita's state of mind. Her state of mind wasn't to cause mischief. Her state of mind was to do good.
Well,
that's her largest defense.
That is extraordinary, because I feel that we all, those of us for whom the light bulb has gone on and we realize that, A, we don't need to kill to survive, and that meat and dairy production is, decimating our planet. It's causing massive health problems, which is impacting the deficit. I mean, when you start thinking about the scope of all this, a huge percentage of our societal problems can be traced back to our consumption of meat and dairy products. And so that causes suffering for people that realize that. And so I totally relate to what Anita was saying, in the sense that I experience suffering all the time. I can't even sleep at night thinking about the billions of animals. But people can't absorb statistics like 9 billion animals killed in the United States for food every year, or 70 billion land animals killed worldwide for food every year. But Anita, they can relate to your story of a decent, tax-paying citizen who just saw something that she could not abide by because her conscience was talking to her and saying this is morally wrong, and took action. People can relate to your story, Anita.
Right. And I think, they can relate to my story, but they also can relate to the pig story. See, putting a face, what our group does is we put a face to the nameless numbers. By having personal contact with the individual pigs in the trucks, and we take footage of it. We take photos and videos and post these. People then see that those pigs in the trucks are individuals, just like you and I, just like our dogs and cats. They're not all the same. They're individuals. And what the industry tries to do is encourage this mass disconnect, where they just slap an ear tag with a serial number and take away their individuality. Human rights law is based on individuals. When you try to take, genocide is based on the opposite, putting serial numbers on people. So I think for animal rights, it's the same case. We have to show that every animal is an individual with their own personality and, cognitive abilities and communication and so forth. And they're also social beings. They're individuals, but they're also social beings. And, they're no different from a dog or a child. And so I think that's what our group has done. Toronto Pig Save and the 50 or 60 safe groups that are around the world are, by bearing witness, we're putting a face on the individuals in the system. So I think that what we're really happy about in terms of this trial is that the mass media is putting those images out. And showing the videos and the photos of what we see. And, our position and, my defense is that everyone has the duty to bear witness. Bearing witness basically means when you see someone suffering, you have a duty to not look the other way, but to come as close as you can to the suffering animal and try to help the animal. And we believe that that's a duty we all share. I don't care if you're a police officer or a teacher or a child or a grandmother, like all of us share this duty. If we see a suffering animal, it's our duty to come as close as we can and try to help. And that's what the Save movement and Toronto Pig Save is all about. And, there is this societal norm which we're overturning, the societal norm that says, oh, it's too hard to look. I don't want to look at this slaughterhouse video. But actually, we all have a duty to do that, because love is defined as giving someone your time and strength, even if it causes you bodily harm, and even if you have to give your life to the object of your love. And that definition is Leo Tolstoy's definition, and it's true. It's like if you love someone, love often involves pain and sacrifice. And social movements only move ahead often when we do engage in that, whether it's getting arrested for civil disobedience and, filling the jails, just like what happened in the civil rights movement where, thousands of people went to jail. We have to do whatever it takes to put the spotlight on this incredibly evil and harmful animal agriculture industry and help transform it. I mean, our group is non-judgmental, it's non-violent. We don't judge people, we're trying to save people. and save the environment and save animals. So, you know, we see the system as evil. We don't condemn individual people. It's just like Martin Luther King said, is, you know, you got to, you know, he doesn't hate people. He just hates discrimination. So we're the same. Like we all have to, we're only going to survive if we see the unity in life, and that, you know, we're all on the same, you know, we're all on the same team here.
Well, I want to say I can vouch for the fact that the truck driver was certainly wrong when he called you a dumb broad. You are far from that, my dear. As we wrap up, I just want to again say, wow, what an amazing, amazing turn of events. I mean, the people who want to get the word out could not have constructed a better scenario for doing so. I have a yes or no question. Are you willing to go to jail for your cause?
Absolutely.
I want to thank you all for taking the time. I know you're very busy. Please keep us updated. Hopefully we can do another interview when the trial concludes, and carry on. Reporting from Los Angeles with an incredible interview with a team of very compassionate people from Canada, I'm Jane Velez-Mitchell for Jane Unchained.
Thank you so much.